Cliftex Mills. And my name is Gilbert Wynn from Wynn Development Company. We're the developer of the Cliftex Lofts in partnership with John Keith. And we're proud today to be standing here with so many of you in what has been a long time coming. The Cliftex Lofts project will create 76 units of low-income and market-rate elderly housing. The property has sat vacant for decades, and it's very important for the community and for us to be able to say that will sit vacant no longer. We will be able to commence construction very quickly, creating 200 jobs, hundreds of thousands of tax revenues for the city through real estate tax payments, and to re-energize the community. Wynn Companies has participated as developer and manager of the property next door, Whalers Place, and they've really enjoyed tremendous success, and we're happy to have some residents from that community here today. We hope to duplicate that success here at Cliftex Mills. I'm pleased and proud to be able to introduce the governor. The governor's been a great supporter of these types of developments across the Commonwealth. These types of developments not only are important to supply quality, affordable housing for those most in need, but they have multiplier effects of construction jobs, real estate taxes, and taking back communities that have long since been forgotten. Recently, the governor signed into law an increase in the state low-income housing tax credit, a critical tool in enabling such projects to move forward. The increase in the state low-income housing tax credit has the effect of making possible mill conversions, mixed-income communities, and other affordable housing developments in our gateway cities, such as Worcester, Lowell, Ludlow, and New Bedford. So I'm proud to introduce the governor, who's just been a great supporter of this project.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you, Gilbert, for your leadership on this project. You and your team, and John Keith, whose persistence every single time I saw it. How about Cliftex? How about Cliftex? Just like the mayor and his team, just like the members of the legislative delegation who are here, and it's great to be with you all today, just like the whole community. What we represent up here are you. People coming together to build our own future. We were just a few minutes ago over at Temple Landing, cutting the ribbon on yet another project. We've been at projects next door and down the way at the Market Basket and all around the city and cities all over the Commonwealth, making investments in our future because we are not willing to leave our future entirely to chance. Because we believe that by investing in education, by investing in innovation, and by investing in infrastructure projects just like this one, we can build a better future. And we're getting results. We're growing jobs in this Commonwealth faster than 44 other states. Our unemployment rate is going down and is well below the national unemployment rate. Our state GDP is growing 2 or 3 times as fast as the national GDP. That's not happening by accident. That's because we're joining forces across the private and the public sector, between state, federal, and local government, and building a better future. And that's why I'm so proud to be here today. Thank you all for having me.
These types of developments take a tremendous amount of time and effort from a lot of people, but really the leader in this endeavor throughout the years and pushing this through, pushing the developers and the owners to do the right things, the state government to do the right things, and the cities to do the right things has been Mayor Lang. He's just been a tremendous resource for all of us, and without his leadership and his stick-to-itiveness, we would not be standing here today. It's proud to present Mayor Lang.
There is just tremendous things going on in the city, just great momentum in every single neighborhood throughout the city. And it's because we have so many tremendous partners. And this is just another example of a great project that many people came together on. If you recall, anytime you have a mill building in your city, the first thing you do is you try and take stock and inventory of it and figure out what can we use it for. And obviously, as things are very difficult with manufacturing, which they were built for. And this mill, by the way, Maminette Mill, which was built in about 1903, so it's almost 108 years old. It was built by one of the key architects at the time, Charles Makepeace. And at the time, which is very interesting, he incorporated, first of all, very large windows, 14-foot high windows. You can see the biggest I think we have in the city. And the other thing he did, which is, and those will all be lit up very soon. All the coverings are going to come off those windows. It'll be like a giant, just a beautiful prism, a lantern to light up this area of the city. But the great thing about it was he built in safety features regarding ventilation, regarding light, regarding heat, that really paved the way for a much more benevolent and human type of workplace. And it was because Massachusetts at the time was a tremendous leader in work rules for young people, work rules for mill workers. So this was one of the more modern manufacturing centers when it was built 108 years ago. Now, 108 years later, we had a tremendous dilemma only three and a half, 4 years ago, in which it was unclear what would happen with this mill and whether or not this mill was destined to be rehabilitated for the 21st century, or whether it would go by the way of literally being sold for scrap. And what happened here is everyone came together, the private sector certainly, whether it's been wind development or it's been Steve Ricciardi and Acorn. They've come together. They have worked very hard with the city. I'm going to name a few partners to come up with a plan on how you could convert this to a 21st century type of residential community. And it joins two other 21st century residential communities done by Wynn and one done by Ricciardi, all on this riverscape. So the key here now is $45 million of investment going into the city. Hundreds of construction jobs we need now. Work is going to start very soon. First you'll begin to see the various demo that has to take place, and then this place is just going to be completely vibrant. The Riverwalk will run behind the mills, going all the way down to Coggeshall Street, up to Wood Street, into Fairhaven and Acushnet. Just a great new way to appreciate the near North End. You also know that we just announced that the governor put into his supplemental budget, and the House and Senate approved a $2 million, and we expect $2 million to grow very quickly, renovation. I don't know if the governor is clapping or he's taken aback, but it's a good thing. But we'd never commit for the governor unless we knew we have his full support for this city of New Bedford. But the fact is, the governor on his own initiative said, I want to get Acushnet Avenue going, vibrant, beautiful, cosmopolitan, international marketplace going from Coggeshall Street up to Nash, because I understand that's the spine of a neighborhood in an urban area. You live on the waterfront, you live in the near neighborhoods, you walk to Acushnet Avenue, you do your shopping, you go down to Market Basket or whatever grocery store you do, but you have to have this urban scape. You have to understand that you can live in an urban area, great jobs, schools, transportation, everything that we've been asking for our city deserves, our people deserve. The governor has been there, proactive, fighting for, whether it's the train or whether it's cleaning up Acushnet River or it's this tremendous revitalization. So the first person I want to thank for this particular project moving forward is Governor Patrick. Without him, it doesn't go. Now, let's talk about private sector. People own the mills. They're trying to get as much as they possibly can done in the mill. But I want to thank the owners of the mills for working with private investors to make this happen, because that was not an easy period. The economy was going south. I want to thank Ed very much for his cooperation in working. His preference always was to have the mills developed, to have this great piece of property, in essence a landmark, a signature type of project for our city. I want to thank Ed very much for working with us over the last 3 years. Matt Morrissey and the New Bedford Economic Development Council, Tony Sapienza, the board, the Redevelopment Authority, everybody has been involved day in, day out, working with WIN and also working with Acorn to make sure that we were able to put this project together. And then it came down to all the support we got. Federal delegation, Congressman Frank Inez is here for Congressman Frank, our senators, and this goes back to Senator Kennedy, Senator Kerry, Senator Kirk, Senator Brown. All of our delegation has to be in tune with what we're trying to do here in New Bedford, and they understand the importance of the project. The EPA, and I understand Kurt Spalding was going to try and be here today. The EPA is working with us not only on the river walk, but also on various pieces of property in this area to make sure that when our kids go to play there, when our citizens invite their guests in, that they can walk on the Riverwalk property and understand that it is safe, clean, and ready to go. The Acushnet River, which is becoming a recreational piece. We just had our first regatta. We had over 125 boats there. We had a couple of thousand people in. That's the cooperation of the state, the EPA, our local Board of Health. We appreciate them. Planning Board stood strong for this project. I believe Dave Kennedy is here. I want to thank David. He's watched this like a hawk. I want to thank David very much. Zoning Board of Appeals, making the changes that need to be done for the 21st century development. I want to thank them. And really what this comes down to then is, so how does it come together? It comes together hard work, day in, day out, working, private, public sector. Public end of this, our state legislative delegation, working with the governor, letting him know what our priorities are at all times. Our priorities are to build great neighborhoods. And we have we have a tour bus going by now. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. So this is where you want to be. But the fact of the matter is that we have a situation, quite honestly, where our delegation is up there every day fighting with us, fighting for us. They fight with us, but they fight for us. Senator Montigny, you'll hear from in a minute. Tony Cabral, Representative Kazera, all have been there, whether it's Chris Markey now joining the group or it was John Quinn. Everybody worked together to get this done. To move a mill like this, to move 2 mills like this, requires a lot of heavy lifts by a lot of people who care about this city. And I want to thank them all greatly. Last is, I can't wait. This is going to be, you know, and I make no mistake about this. We're defined by our housing stock, by the quality of our stock. These will be great, great units for people who not only live in the city, but also people who come from out the city who decide that they want to live in New Bedford. It's very, very important that you have great housing stock. Housing stock like this lifts it all. Competition lifts it all. It's extremely important. The idea that someone would say, you know, you don't improve your housing stock because you have housing stock in the city. The answer is all housing stock comes up. It's great for our residents, our kids, all the tenants in the city. It leads, believe it or not, great housing stock leads to home ownership. And my gut feeling on this, in a nutshell, is this is a tremendous project for the city. This, from my perspective, this group of mills here, which helped define our city, which helped build our city, will now be 21st century signature items to show that our city absolutely has the momentum it needs to keep moving. So I want to thank everyone. I'm going to turn the mic over now, I believe, to John Keith. Am I, Gil, are you the MC on this? You're doing this, right? All right. I'm going to turn the mic back over to the MC. I'm going to turn the mic over to the MC and tell you we are very proud of this city. We're very proud of all the people who help us out day by day.
The mayor is so serious about local jobs that he just took mine. We're fortunate enough to have a lot of legislators here today, and first off is Senator Montigny.
Thank you. First, I think I can dispense with some of the thank yous because the mayor did such a good job. But the first thing I want to do is ask any of the city councilors that are here to join us. I see Councilor Alves, I see Councilor Gonzalez, Councilor Martin. Can you all just come inside and join us, because I think the council deserves it. Of course, since the governor is a frequently visiting dignitary, I do have to spend 30 seconds saying some good stuff for those of you who were not with us at the last event, and just say this. I've worked with a series of governors. Actually, I've worked well with all of the governors that have marched in and out through the front door and out the back door of the State House over the years of my tenure. This guy's a little different. He not only knows the zip codes here, but we literally have to marshal him out after spending what seems like days, and today it's been just about a half a day, and we have to say, Governor, there is, 350 other communities, and we'll welcome you back in a week or so, or 2 weeks, or whenever you come, and every time he comes bearing funds. So, Governor, we greatly appreciate it. Now I'm going to take a couple of minutes and tell you how exciting this is. And I speak on behalf of the legislative delegation, although you will hear from my fellow representatives, but I want to say a couple of things. I've had the good fortune in the legislature to spend a lot more time than most representatives or senators crunching numbers. We are fortunate sometimes to chair committees, and often it will be very exciting policy for me. I spent years as a healthcare chair, but most of my tenure I have spent crunching numbers, both in my profession and as a sort of avocational interest. So I spend lots of days as a Ways and Means chair or capital bonding chair looking at things that most people consider to be uninteresting, and I've even had constituents or colleagues say, what is so interesting about looking at term sheets or thinking about how rating agencies look at the Commonwealth's data, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what I say to them is there is no more fun place to work. There's nothing where you can actually work with a state delegation and a local community and a great governor to make things happen than being involved in the finance. For the simple reason that after all of the debate and all of the policy interests are done, and at the end of the day we pass the bonding or the operational budget, we do the term sheets, and everyone goes home and they go off and sell the stuff on Wall Street, we get to do something this exciting. We get to come home to the community we were born and raised in, and that we love, and we get to make things happen. And it's absolutely, if I didn't need the paycheck, I would say thank you and do it as a volunteer. It's absolutely the most satisfying job that one could have, because you get to come home and do great things for the community. So I want to close by thanking the governor, but particularly recognize the legislative delegation and the city council. Frequently, because, perhaps there's too many of us, but because we serve in the legislative body, sometimes it's forgotten that every day we're not only up there knocking on the governor's door. With him it's easy, he says yes almost every time, but it takes a lot of work, and every time we spend capital as an outcome, there are hundreds of hours of political capital, time and energy spent to make it happen. So if you look at what I consider literally, and I've said several times this week alone about how disappointing it is to love a city the way I do and watch the remnants of urban renewal, so-called, where so much money was misspent in this community, and we tore down so many legacy buildings. When you look at the pictures, so I say this over and over, and I apologize for those of you that have to hear it a lot, but those of you who haven't heard it, you see New Bedford for its beauty today. But what I'm saying to you is we're just fortunate that we had so much beauty that even after everything that was torn down during urban renewal, we still have one of the most beautiful historic communities in this entire country. But it needed polishing. And it's only been the last 10 or 15 years where we as custodians, working with the private sector, have actually gotten it right. A lot of what was done with federal and state money years ago was done wrong. Not just the corruption and all the stuff that went on with the misspending. I mean, it was simply done wrong for the simple reason that we looked at building new things as the proper legacy instead of recycling old things. So the beauty here, and I'll close with this, the beauty here is the jobs. 200 jobs are great. The units, wonderful. I used to sit here or stand here, and when they would talk about over 55 housing, I'd say, well, that's so many decades away, I can't imagine. But Jane Gonzalez reminded me today that the gray hair is coming in, so it's relevant now. But I used to sit here and wonder, living in this beautiful city, wonder how we could celebrate even the job creation, even the increased tax base, when we're tearing something down that is so beautiful and was here before us and it should be here long after us. That's the beauty of what's happened the last 10 or 15 years in the city. Not urban renewal, but literally a cultural renaissance of this absolutely fabulous city. So again, Governor, I feel like I've said it several times this week. I hope I'll be saying it for many weeks and months to come. Thank you for helping us, because for us, it isn't a profession. Here, just as for you. It's a labor of love, literally, and we get to come home to this beautiful city every night. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with everyone this afternoon. You know, as a legislator, we vote on programs that we hope will provide an incentive for investment in the Commonwealth and in the communities that we represent. And this afternoon, it is very fulfilling for this legislator to realize that that investment is happening in the city that I live in and in the district that I represent, the 11th Bristol District. So as a state representative for this area, I get a great sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in knowing that the programs that we vote on aren't just theoretical concepts and aren't just going to other parts of the state, but they come back home. And what we see here on this street is a legacy of the past. We're not going to recapture the jobs that were had in these buildings, but we are going to put these buildings to new use, as the mayor said and previous speakers said, in the 21st century. We're going to provide quality housing opportunities for residents of our city, and that's a good thing. We're going to have these properties back on the tax rolls at a level that we want them to be at. So this legislator is very fulfilled and satisfied to see this level of investment, to see these programs work here in the 11th Bristol District. And I want to thank the Patrick administration for working so cooperatively with the City of New Bedford and the city's Economic Development Council for the work that they do to bring in these developers and to have projects like these happen. We have some wonderful projects down the street at Whalers Cove and Whalers Place, and there are some people that are residents of Whalers Place that are here amongst us this afternoon. They're proud to live there. They've lived in the city of New Bedford all their lives. I think that says it all, that they can be proud of where they're living and be part of the revitalization of this area of the city. So congratulations to everyone who should be congratulated. Thank you. And Governor, do come down more often.
Well, good afternoon, and my name is Tony Cabral. I'm delighted to be here, being part of this ceremony. To me, this is really very personal in the sense because Cliftex North, when I was going to college, I used to work on the third shift on the basement area. It was actually a Cushnick company, the O-ring department. Not bad. I used to pay my college tuition working there, making $180 clean a week. All right? So it's so wonderful that these particular mills, so many families made their living, so many families were able to raise their families and their kids to college. And today, we are here creating partnerships between the private sector, state government, federal government, and as the governor said today several times, these things don't happen by accident. These things happen because we are able to put the pieces together by bringing the partnerships together through the private sector, through government. And government, yes, government has a role to play in helping revive some of these mills and some of these facilities. So today, I'm so happy to be here. Last week I was down at Victoria Riverside, which some members of my family also work there, making a living. So it's nice to see these coming back to life and from a workplace to become a living place of the 21st century. So Governor, you know, what can I say? You are the best. Right? You are the best. You are the best. It's so delightful to work with someone who really understands our needs, understands our struggles, but above all, understands our dreams and believes in our dreams. And that's someone called Deval Patrick, Governor of Massachusetts. So thank you again. And also I'd like to recognize from Senator Kerry's office, General Deval, for being here. Thank you.
My name's Chris Markey. I'm a state rep. I have all of Dartmouth, a little bit of New Bedford, so some of you may be wondering why I'm here, because this isn't my district. I think it's important to know that this is an important project for a couple of reasons, at least for the people in Dartmouth, the people in New Bedford, Freetown, and Lakeville as well. Because this is the type of smart growth that we need. And to get the big picture this is an opportunity for people who live in New Bedford, who can't take their own house, who have to move on, and give them an opportunity to live in a place of 55 and older. But what that does is it opens a house up for a young family that's starting and hopefully will stay in New Bedford and grow their children in New Bedford, and will get to establish their roots in New Bedford, and then their grandchildren will be here, and then they can move on to a place like this, retire to, and have the opportunities and watch their family grow right down the street or right up the road. But I think the most amazing thing we learned today, and Governor, this is the reason why I thought you were here, is Mark Montigny actually acknowledged that he has gray hair.
It's been a painful experience.
And I thought that's the reason why. But it is a great opportunity for New Bedford. It's a great opportunity for the people who live in these areas to stay in the community that they grow up in. But it's also very important for how we develop our future, how we develop our farmlands. As crazy as that sounds, because we're not expanding out into the farmlands of Lakeville or Freetown. We're keeping it close, we're keeping our families close, and in a few years, hopefully not when I'm 55, we'll have a train that's coming down here. And this will keep... And this is where people will be able to establish and develop their families and stay in the community that they love, that we all love, and I hope you all love. So thank you again, Governor, for all your help, and appreciate everything.
As the state rep mentioned, working together is how all these things come to fruition, and there's no better person that I've worked with on the local government level to work and create that connection between the private sector and the public sector than Matt Morrissey. And I'd like to give him a round of applause and have him say a few words.
No, thank you. Just very briefly, a couple of people that we want to thank that haven't yet been thanked, or to reiterate thanks. In addition to the governor, the state legislative delegation, of course Mayor Lang and all of the city council, but in particular, I'd like to thank City Councilor Steve Martins, Ward 2 City Councilor, who voted to save this mill. So Steve, where are you there? Steve, thank you very much. Okay, that wasn't an easy vote to take at that particular time. Number two, I'd like to thank Irene Shaw, our city solicitor, who's been working tirelessly with her staff to put all of the details together on the transaction. So thanks to Irene. A little round of applause for Irene. I would like to thank Pat Sullivan and his staff. Where's Pat? Pat's right back here in the Office of Housing and Community Development. Pat has a piece of everything that happens in the city of New Bedford, whether it's housing or otherwise. I'd like to thank and acknowledge Terry Lewis, who's the chairman of the New Bedford Redevelopment Authority, who's here with us. Terry, thanks for all of your leadership. And then, and it goes without saying that without the Office of Housing and Community Development at the state level, now run by Steve Cavallo, who certainly knows New Bedford, this project couldn't happen. So for all of your leadership and the leadership of Kate Racer and the team, thank you very much. The last thing I'll say, and I'll turn it back over to the mayor, is just simply this. If you create a vision, you get people to buy into that vision, which is based on a belief that New Bedford can be all of what we all here know that it can be, you will bring people around a table and to make it happen. And this is really, the end of the beginning, really. We're really at this point today, after 4 years of working toward this goal of realizing a new dream for this neighborhood and this district in the city, we're now beginning the process of actually seeing construction about to begin, seeing people at work, and frankly bringing families from this entire area down to enjoy the water for the first time in 100 years. This is truly a very exciting day. Thanks everybody for all of your assistance.
Before I introduce the final speaker, I learned as I got into this business, you don't get very far without acknowledging your investors and your lenders. So I want to acknowledge Bank of America, who will be the investor and the lender on this project and has just been a great partner of ours across the country and in building these communities. So let's give them a round of applause as well. So as the final speaker, John Keith. Many things I could say about John. He's a great friend and a great business partner. John approached us to be the developer on this project. John is the owner and the sponsor. And we've worked together so many years in the past and so successfully, it was an easy decision to say yes. And I'm just proud to introduce John Keith.
Welcome. And I want to thank my day partner, Tim Ford, for tolerating me, and my evening partner, my wife, Shelley Boone Keith, for tolerating me. I met Mayor Scott Lang when he was first elected 6 years ago down Whalers Cove. He came down and said, you should do more buildings down here. I said, I would, but I don't think there's enough historic credits or affordable credits to go. He said, leave that up to me. If you hire 50% local people and you continue doing good work and building parks, we will make sure there are credits available. And then Senator Montigny expanded the historic credits so all these beautiful mills in New Bedford could go on. And I must say our governor, thank goodness, he lives walking distance from me, and I can go over and knock on his door and remind him how important these projects are down here. It's only a 20-minute walk away. My father and Steve Riccardi's father, Steve Riccardi is our neighbor here, did business together for probably 20 years. My father was the lender and he was the apartment builder. And I'm sure they're very happy looking down on seeing that we're going to be neighbors finishing this project up. And I'm sure they will be very, very helpful to each other. So we're very happy about that. I call up my friend Sandy Will today, who's my neighbor in Milton. And we've been best friends for 50 years. He is doing the approximately $30 million worth of construction being finished up on the railroad lines, etc. And I overlook his house in Milton. And lots of times when we have different charity events or political events, we give each other a call. And so that's why I was calling him today. He called me up a year ago and said that Milton High School needed some more, I forget what they call them, but the rowing boats like they have in the Charles River. And he said, I'm donating a boat, and I think it'd be very appropriate for you to donate a boat. So I called him up this morning. I said, you like the investments we made on the Neponset River? He said, of course I do. I overlook it. I said, here's your opportunity on the Acushnet River. I said, you've been telling me that I was so right for introducing you to the Mayor Scott Lang in City Hall in New Bedford. He says this is the best that of any city hall he's been into, and they have the best workforce down here in New Bedford. So of course I'd love to contribute. So anyway, Sandy and I would like to contribute 2 rowing boats, whatever they are, and in honor of Governor Deval Patrick and Mayor Scott Lang. We're looking forward to starting in January, and I usually, every time I see the governor, give him a manpower count, but the manpower is down to about 280 people today. We're usually bouncing around 500, so the next time I'll give you one will be in February and March. There we go. And I know we're in New Bedford today, but I did want to say that we're doing 97 units in Fall River that's just been completed, and they're moving in a mill similar to this. And as I like to say, God bless tax credits and our governors.
Before we leave, I'd just like to have Mayor Lang say a couple of words.
All right. Now, this first, on behalf of all the student athletes in the city. I want to thank both Will and John Keith, Mr. Will and Mr. Keith, for this very, very generous, unbelievable contribution, because after we did the regatta about 3 weeks ago, the #1 issue was how do we get some shells to have our high school, middle school, young men and women, young boys and girls become familiar with the water. And this is, this takes us aback in a major way. This will physical fitness, teamwork, sportsmanship, and college scholarships. That's what that's all about. So that's a fantastic, that's like saying I'm going to donate 2 baseball fields to the city. That's just an unbelievable thing and takes us back, and I want to thank you very much. I don't believe people understand. Those racing shells takes a long time to save up for, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. Thank you. I want to talk about Cliftex North for 1 second. Bart Busnick and Michael DeVos have been working very closely with Steve Ricciardi to come up with a deal, just as Ed did with Ed Fitzsimmons did with the wind company, to allow these mills to be economically viable, and we want to thank them very much. I want to call up. They were the owners. They bought the mills. They were going to develop them, and they have now worked out an arrangement where Steve Ricciardi is going to develop Cliftex North. I want to bring Steve Ricciardi up for just a couple of moments to speak. The last time we saw Steve was at Victoria Riverside, and he did, at the time, unbelievable project. He can tell you now where it is, but before that, Wamsutta Mills. I remember going to Wamsutta Mills with Senator Montigny back in the early '06, looking at it and saying, this is enormous. How do we get this moving? And Steve Ricciardi was a driving force behind it. Same partners, everybody here. But we have changed the nature of the city by saving these mills. You would have driven by New Bedford and said there used to be mills there. Now you drive by New Bedford and you say the tribute to all the work that went on by all the people who lived in this city, all of our ancestors, all of our families. Is memorialized by using these mills in the 21st century. Steve and John are experts on it. Steve, just come up, please, for a few words. By the way, we will do many more ribbon cuttings here. Every time we take a piece of wood off of a window, we're going to have a major event. But Steve, please come up for 1 minute. Thank you, Steve, very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'll be short and sweet. The sweet part about it is to kind of reiterate what everybody else has been saying about Mayor Lang. He's a terrific mayor. I mean, the other 50 towns, 350 towns would be so lucky. He's one of the reasons why we got interested in New Bedford in the first place, and he brings to mind an old saying, and I can't tell you who said it, about the city of Rome, where they said about Caesar Augustus, when he came to Rome, it was a city of bricks. When he left Rome, it was a city of marble. Now, we don't have much marble that we're putting in around here, except on our countertops and that sort of thing. But I will say this, he's taken away tons of what would otherwise be considered blight and turned it into productive resource that we can all be proud of. So his whole administration, from top to bottom, from planning board members and planning director, head of DPI, building department, to their secretaries, have all been unbelievably helpful in giving us the encouragement and the can-do attitude of going forward. So we're very glad you're our mayor, and we wish you well in whatever you do after this. I do also want to say that we've got to thank the delegation for the city in Beacon Hill that's been talked about before, but they press and they push and they get those historic tax credits coming this way. The historic tax credits are a great leveler for market rate housing. Our units at Cliftex North are all market rate, and it is probably the biggest bang of the taxpayer's buck, for the taxpayer's buck, of all the affordable kind of programs that go on, because they go right to lowering. It's kind of like a buy down is for real estate. So important, so glad they've been working on it, and they all deserve congratulations for that. And leading them in all of this is Governor Deval Patrick. Now, you know, he's really a visionary as well. He's a tough man in many ways. I was thinking the other day, I'm sure I wouldn't want to be the governor in Governor Patrick's time span. This has been a rough number of years. He's had all kinds of stuff to overcome. He's stuck in there, and it brings to mind another adage that I kind of have ringing through my ears quite often, and it kind of fits him a little bit. Tough times don't last, tough people do. And he's hung in there. He's not only tough, but he's compassionate, and we're all very happy to have him all these years. Just a quick word about what we're building. It's 126 market rate units. It'll have solar panels. It'll have under-building parking. It'll have a place where the unit residents can enjoy their own gardens. There'll be tennis court, and we hope that in this lot that we're standing in will all be landscaped, maybe a fountain or two, and it'll really turn this whole area, as the mayor has said, as everyone has said, into a real sparkling center. So we're looking forward to doing this very much. Just a quick nod to Sovereign Bank, who's been our lender for 3 projects just in the city of New Bedford alone, and they've been wonderful working with them. Also, a quick note about the New Bedford Economic Development for giving us a short bridge loan, and I can't say enough about what Matt has done. If Matt Morrissey is a right-hand mayor to the the mayor must have 3 or 4 right hands, because that's just how good Matt is, and he's been terrific. Lastly, a thank you to Capital Access's Jeff Rome, who's helped us put many of these packages together. He's practically a partner and a brother. So he's worked very hard with us and for us over the time. And lastly, our staff. They're fantastic. They work hard, all of them. So thank you all very, very much. I hope I wasn't too long.
How much money did you get to get this project going?
Well, we've been at our infrastructure investment plan for 5 years now, 4 since the bonding bills were passed, and they continue to be. In fact, the infrastructure investments, which include roads, rails, bridges, broadband expansion, public and affordable housing, investing in public colleges and universities, is more than double what it has been in recent administrations, and it's creating jobs right now, but also a platform for economic development and growth out into the future.
Okay, how much federal money is in play here?
I don't know. Somebody can get you the number.
Okay, but there's some federal money.
There is.
Okay.
The only interesting thing I'd say that's very important is that this is basically private sector projects that the governor and then the legislature, the feds, add just the little bit of gap that's needed to put people to work and improve cities and expand tax bases. So it's the perfect prescription to growing your economy. No one comes in and says we want 100%. They come in and say we just need a little bit. The governor everywhere in the state has done that. It's fantastic.
And when will the construction jobs start? When will the jobs
I think
start?
on North it starts now. On the south part, I believe they'll mobilize within the next month.
Okay. And do you know how long the project will take to complete?
About 18 months, I believe.
When life's this hard, graduating can be even harder. But you can help Ativa and the students in your community make it through by visiting boostup.org.